What's going on? I'm so excited to record right now for so many reasons. It's been I think it's been around 2 months since I started recording, or since I finished recording, I should say, my second season of podcast. And today I decided that I wanted to take a little more informal approach, inspired by a few people in my life that showed me that although the seasons have been coming together very well and people are able to follow them, that this new informal approach is going to really help me connect with my audience, and that's what I want to do. So there has been so much that has happened, and I'm just going to go off the cuff here and kind of summarize exactly how everything kind of came together in the last few weeks, few months. I had a video that went viral on TikTok that gave me an audience and people that have been following the podcast, and I kind of just let it fester. I kind of let it sit. I didn't rush too much into things. I really looked introspectively. I traveled as much as I could during this kind of transitional period, especially in Ontario and the whole pandemic and everything that's going on. And I started this informal approach, this informal podcast, because I wanted to give people a chance to really connect with me and really understand the journey that I've been on. And you know what? A lot of people have been asking me, like, what's it like going viral? What's it like having an audience? And to be honest with you, it's nice, but there's deeper things, more important things in life, and I want to really touch on that. So this episode is just going to be a one-off. Maybe I might do two, but it's going to be, something that isn't necessarily aligned with the seasonal approach that I have been taking on my podcast, but it's going to be definitely something that's going to help people understand exactly what the journey is and how I got here and what it's like and what I've learned. This podcast, this episode is going to be, or is titled 41 Thoughts in 14 Days, or 41 Lessons in 14 Days, because I took 2 weeks to myself, totally disconnected, started going on various journeys. I went to beaches and creeks and waterfalls and lakes and spent time camping and really grounded myself and really decided to grow as a person rather than just trying to teach lessons to people that I have learned through experience. I decided to experience them for myself. So when that video went viral on TikTok, I felt a need to be talking about why that video went viral, or to be talking about what I talked about in that video and kind of continue that trend. And then I realized along the way, and I don't know if you guys know the song Vienna by Billy Joel, but it changed everything for me. It made me realize that I was rushing and I was taking a lot of energy out of myself to help people and help the world, or what I thought was helping people and helping the world, and it just wasn't the route for me. So that grounding that I ended up doing, and I'm outside right now, so if you're listening to the podcast, you might hear wind and shit, going on in the background, but just bear with me because, there's going to be a lot of good stuff that I'm talking about. So I grounded myself and I escaped all of it. I went off my phone as much as I could, stayed off social media, and really just was. I talk about being and just be in the moment, and that's essentially what I experienced. And so I just jumped in my car and I traveled, and I experienced, like I said. And through this experience, I have a journal that I started writing all these profound thoughts. And I talk about intuition, and my intuition really spoke through me. It actually was yelling at me to do this and to feel this way. And the more I was doing this, the more these manifestations started coming to reality, and I was starting to really find my purpose, I guess you could say. So the purpose of this specific podcast is to inform people about those lessons. And I'm going to run through the 41 lessons. I'm going to talk about them, how they impacted me, and then we're going to finish it off with exactly where my head's at and how I plan on delegating the third season, or what I plan on talking about in the third season, which I have it written and recorded or not record. I have it written out, the plan that I want to do, but we're just going to kind of feel it out and see, because I'm somebody who loves to live through his intuition, and my intuition hasn't necessarily been calling me to the podcast lately. It's been calling me more to experience and really truly discover myself introspectively through experience. We get so fixated on what we should be doing, what we have to be doing, that we forget that we have this voice inside of us that knows better than we do. And I talk about that again in my intuition episodes, I guess you could say. So the lessons that I take, or that I took from those 14 days that I took off, are beautiful. And I really wanted to share them with you. And it's funny because I didn't go into that thinking that I was going to share it with anyone. I just thought it was for me. And then the more I wrote, the more I realized that people need to be hearing this stuff. So I want to start off by saying thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for following me. For those that saw my video and felt like I had better things to say and have been listening to my podcast and reaching out, because a lot of people did reach out, I want to say thank you, because it really gave me that sense of purpose, because I started this podcast not really knowing exactly how it was going to impact people. I just knew it would. And this was that physical manifestation, that representation, that pat on the back that I needed. So let's dive in. 41 things I've learned the last 2 weeks. Okay, number 1, be a kid again. Pretend like you are seeing things for the first and last time. When I was traveling, I really noticed that one of the most important and pure things you can do is look at the world through the eyes of a child, because the innocence that they exude is eventually buried by our egos, by the identity we learn to create, that society tells us to be, or family tells us to be, or our friends tell us to be. And that really limits the inspiration that could come from what you are truly capable of, what you truly want. And by being a kid again, you're able to view life in a different lens, almost like with rose-colored glasses. You look at the grass like it's the most beautiful thing. You touch trees and you soak in the sun, and you're able to just be in that sense of presence that really shows you what life is truly about. And that was the first one I want to touch on, because that was the main first lesson that I learned, is like, you just need to be. And in order to just be, you need to let go of the ego. You need to really manifest a life that is viewed without judgment and without expectation, through the eyes of an innocent child, right? Number 2, phones are in many ways the cause of our problems. They're good too, don't get me wrong. They're used for many good things, but when you're trying to conceptualize life and enjoy it and really live through purity, by distancing yourself with technology, it is a lot more of a human approach. And that's something that I've really noticed in my journey, is social media can be detrimental to your mental health in a way. Now, if you are able to step back and view it in a positive light, it can bring you many good fortunes. Like for me, the audience I have now grew tenfold because I was able to use social media as a platform. But when that happened, I almost became obsessed with it. Reading comments and focusing on likes, and why hasn't this video blown up, and why aren't people liking this, and why are they saying this? That's poison, because comparison is the death of joy, right? That's a quote we hear all too often. So if we're constantly comparing ourselves, not even to other people, but just comparison to other videos or comparison to expectation, that really limits the ability that we have to experience life for what it is, rather than what we think it should be. Number 3, the whole synchronicity thing that happens when you're feeding your soul is more real than I ever realized. When you're able to consciously observe your life and place your attention on things that you want to, rather than that subconscious placing your attention on things that you've just learned to, you could really feed your soul, and then the world starts opening up and it shows you the directions that you need to follow. It speaks through you. And that goes back to your intuition, living through your higher self, because it knows far better than we do. Number 4, the moment is all that matters. I've always known it, but I finally had the chance to feel it. And feeling something is far more important than thinking it, than knowing it. Because once you begin to feel it, you begin to exude that embodiment, the essence of it. And that energy, that signal that you are sending out, becoming the person you want to be rather than just thinking about the person you want to be, changes everything. Number 5, you are not obligated for someone else's life. Stop thinking about pleasing the needs and wants of others and just be present within your own world. Enjoy your food, smell the fresh air, listen to the birds, which then leads into 6, which is ground yourself. Ground yourself in the moment through your senses, right? All thoughts sometimes lead us astray. Our thoughts sometimes lead us astray, which worry or stress us. So just center yourself, find the moment, and connect with everything around you. Now, I said 2 there. Let me discuss the first one. When we, especially for those who are very empathic, when we feel emotions, we think that it's our own emotions, our own internal struggles that we are dealing with. When in reality, if you are an empathic being and you feel other people's emotions, you feel a need to please them. And that sacrifices a big piece of you. By grounding yourself and enjoying the moment and finding out what truly makes you happy, that gives you an opportunity to truly live in the moment, which is all that matters. I talk about that again near the end of my last season. Time doesn't exist. It does in a linear way if you look at life in a very one-dimensional way, but in reality, the moment is all we have, is all there is. Think about it. The past is a memory, the future is imagination, which all happen in the present moment. Once you ground yourself and you figure out that the moment is all that matters, then when you think thoughts associated with past experiences that elicit depression or anxiety or guilt or jealousy or fear or lack, you're just living outside of the moment. You're taking yourself away from the only thing that matters. Number 7, it's not that fucking serious. One thing I noticed was I kept getting stressed and bogged down by things. Various things. Endless things. And it was my thoughts that were convincing me that they were true. And I talk about this actually in a recent podcast that I posted, that we feel these emotions or these low level of vibrations because we're tired or we're overstimulated. And then we associate thoughts with those emotions. And then we convince ourselves that those thoughts are true based on rationalizing and conceptualizing our emotions. But in reality, it's not that fucking serious, because if you want to take it back to the 6th point I just talked about, the moment is all that matters. So if you're taking yourself out of it with all these thoughts about the past or the future, then you're convincing yourself that it is justified, and you're just bringing yourself down more, which is just manifesting more of those emotions, more of those thoughts. If you can realize that it's not that fucking serious and that you can ground yourself in the moment, then everything begins to change. Number 8, instead of focusing on the crisis, take the opportunity and use it to your advantage. And this is with everything. Now, crisis in Chinese is both danger and opportunity. So you look at crisis and you say, well, it's a danger. It's terrifying. And sure it is, if you look at it that way. And when I went viral, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I said, now I have, 3.5, whatever it is, million views on my video. I now have a moral, a social obligation to change the world, to change the minds of people. I was taking that crisis and turning it into a danger, saying that if I don't do this, then I'm not living my highest purpose. Then I'm not serving my highest purpose. But in reality, I was just taking the dangers of it all because I was living through fear. I was living through fear of the future and fear of what other people were thinking and fear of the depression that surrounded me and the anxiety that surrounded me. But instead, I took a step back and I decided to live for myself. And I took the opportunity of crisis. And I said, you know what? The government is shutting everything down. Time for some introspection. Go to the beach. Walk in the sand by yourself. If you don't have a beach close to you, go to a lake. There's hiking trails everywhere. Ground yourself. Take the opportunity. Meditate. Do yoga. Work out. Don't just sit there and play the victim card because we can't do certain things. These things are out of our control. And if we just focus on these all the time, then that's only going to manifest more danger in our lives. Number 9, just let it go. Let go of all expectation and judgment and just experience everything for what it is. Expectation and judgment are the two most detrimental ideologies that we embody, that we encompass, because our judgment is just an internal representation of our own insecurities. Whether you want to face it or not, it's true. When you're judging somebody else, it's because you're insecure about it within your own world. Because if it didn't affect you, it wouldn't fucking matter. And then expectation leads to disappointment. So if you're constantly expecting something to happen and it doesn't happen, then you're going to be sitting there, sitting on your thumb, wondering why it didn't happen. And you're going to be disappointed because it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Let go of expectation and judgment and just let everything be what it is. And that will change things as well. Number 10, stop forcing shit. It's like putting the wrong key in a lock. The door will never open. Just trust that the one you want to walk through will eventually open on its own. And that is the essence of truly being. If you're trying to force shit, it's because you're living through expectation. You're living the life you had planned, but there is one waiting for you if you were to just let go and understand that if it's meant to be, it will be. And I know that's a cheesy cliche, but it's so applicable and so true when you're living a life that you're meant to. You know that there's things that are meant for you. And if you're constantly forcing a life that you think that you should be living, then that's only going to bring disappointment because that expectation you're living through is just going to manifest. Sure, you could struggle every day until you get that goal, and eventually you will get that goal, but is it enough? Will it cure your need for that goal? Are you going to force it enough to the point where like you're battling every single day and then finally it comes true and you're like, oh, thank God? No, you're probably going to get there and you're going to be like, oh, yes, that's good. It happened, but like at what cost? Because you just missed all the other opportunities that could have presented themselves to you. Number 11, listen to the universe. It is always speaking to you. There's this new age spirituality that is all over TikTok, all over Instagram. It's talking about the universe and how it's always providing for you. Well, it's true. It is true. If you were to just open your eyes to the moment and take the first 10 points, the first 10 lessons, and understand that everything happens in the moment and you are able to observe, the universe speaks, man. The synchronicities thing, it happens, it's real. I've seen it happen with my own eyes countless times. And it continues to show itself every single day and manifests continually, exponentially. Whether you believe in God or a higher self or the universe or whatever, at the end of the day, it comes down to just being consciously open to receiving what the universe has to offer you. Number 12, we get way too wrapped up in the future. But this is just another form of escapism. We fear not being enough, which forces us to live through that fear. Think about it. We are scared that we're going to not make enough money, or we're scared we're not going to be able to buy that house, or we're scared we're not going to find someone better than the relationship you're in that isn't that healthy. That fear is the driving factor in your life. It's not love. It's not the love for your job. You'll know if you love your job. But if you just convince yourself you love your job, That's just you living through fear. So when we get wrapped up in this idea of who we have to be, we again limit the life that is waiting for us. All the opportunities that could have been fall short. They don't manifest into anything. Which leads me into 13. Fear controls you. Fear controls. Period. Everything in our lives is programmed to some degree be associated with fear. And as children, it's always, you need to do this, you need to be this, you need to say this, you need to act like this. We limit the imagination and purity of children early on in our school system, through our parents, through our peers. Excuse me. Which only causes us to grow up and live by the hormones and stresses of fear. And then that fear then controls us to make all our decisions for us. But we are loving beings. We are energetic, loving beings who are born from unconditional love. And if you look at life like that, and if you start to enjoy the moment and enjoy things, doors open up for you. And those fearful thoughts no longer control every decision in your life. Number 14, by genuinely asking the world to show you how good it can get, it answers with love. Swear to God. I write down my manifestations. I write down in my journal. As soon as I put this pen to paper, reality sets in. It becomes real. Not typing it on your phone, but actually putting this pen to paper and having that physical, tangible piece of yourself on that paper. As soon as that happens, and asking the world, show me how good it can get, it answers. You just have to be open to receiving it. Number 15, it's okay to pass the exit and then turn around. Not every first decision will be the right one. I had a day where, and this is what I did during my 14 days. I would just get in my car and follow road signs. I'd tell my gut, I'd be like, take me somewhere. And it would take me to the most beautiful areas. Better than I could have Googled or asked about or whatever. I'd find places that I wouldn't have otherwise known to find or look for. But sometimes, and there was a day that I had to pass the exit, and my intuition was like, nope, turn back. And I turned back and I kept going, and then I passed another one. It's like, oh, turn back. And that lesson manifested into reality. It showed me that I'm not always going to make the right decision. Sometimes I'm going to have to turn around. But as long as you're moving forward, you are making strides in the right direction. Number 16, there is no capacity on love. Love is an electric emotion. Fear is chemical. Okay? So fear is run by cortisol and noradrenaline. So when you're fearful, your body takes all this bioelectricity, pulls it inwardly, and you're just there sitting on an island. And I talk about this early in my podcast. That's not the way we're meant to live. The stress hormone is used for very finite times when there is a threat. But if we're living by it, we're limiting love. Once you begin to love and you're like, there is no fucking way I can love anymore, the universe shows you how you can love anymore, even more. And it continues to get more and more powerful. Because if you live by the electricity of love, that love hits your nervous system and you just feel whole and full and euphoric. And the more you live by this, the more you increase the standard at which you are willing to accept your life at. And the more you do that, the more it answers. The more love you can live by, the more you love yourself, and the more love you can exude to everybody around you. Number 17, the law of polarity is far deeper than we realize. I wrote this one because there are so many things in our life, in our lives that happen, that there is an equal and opposite reaction. So fear and love, for example. Excitement and anxiety, for example. These are all similar reactions, similar emotions, similar feelings. But if we're cognizant, conscious of that law of polarity, we can choose which side of the coin we want to live on. Number 18. If you slow life down, life slows down for you. And when life slows down for you, so does each moment. I was so in a rush to live my life. I needed to do this. I needed to have money. I needed to have a car. I needed to have a house. I needed to do this. When I wrote this down, when I discovered this, I started writing slower. And as soon as, because I live fast. Me personally, I like to live really fast. And as soon as I started slowing life down, a lot started to show itself to me. I was able to be aware of everything around me. You know, our reticular activating system only picks out what we want to see and what we've been focusing on. But when you really slow down, and you slow your voice down, and you slow the way you write, and you slow the way you eat, you ground yourself. You become present in each moment. And how beautiful is that? Number 19, on the journey to self-actualization, we experience such depths of emotion because we are learning to detach ourselves from who we've learned to be. I'm 26 years old. For the last 25 and a half years, I've built up this identity of myself based on past trauma, inner child, shadow selves, the ego, the identity, the ego. And when we become self-actualized and self-aware, and we start to begin to observe our reality objectively, that person we've created over the last X amount of years slowly begins to detach from us, which feels in our heart like a death, like we're losing a portion of ourselves. But in reality, that portion of ourselves doesn't serve us anymore. And that's why we're going on this journey, because we're trying to overcome all of those emotions, all of those thought patterns subconsciously. And that's what the dark night of the ego is, dark night of the soul is. It's the detachment from the person we've convinced ourselves we become. We are. It's the detachment from the identity that we've so comfortably accepted thus far. And that's why it hurts. That's why it's lonely. That's why some nights we won't be able to sleep, and some mornings we'll wake up and not want to get out of bed. Because we've lost ourselves. But we have to lose ourselves first in order to truly find ourselves. Number 20, money, space, and time are concepts within this reality that keep us confused. And neither exist any more or less than anything else in this physical reality. The only thing that exists is your relationship with each one. You want to manifest more money? Money's just energy, man. Find ways to open yourself up to receiving. And instead of having that primarily negative view on money, that negative connotation on money, well, I don't have enough. My job's too hard. I have to work hard for it. You have to work hard for money. Realize that money is just another form of anything else. You want to manifest a beautiful relationship, what are you going to do? You're going to become the person deserving of that. You want to manifest more money, what are you going to do? You're going to become the person deserving of that. And what does the person deserving of money do? He changes, or she changes, or they change their ideas of it. Their view, their perspective of it. The only thing that's real is our perception, our relationship with each. With money, with space, and time. The clock, the way the sun rotates, is part of our reality. But our perspective is what really controls it. Because our reality is subjective to each individual reality. We are our own universe. Number 21. I realized how much control we have within our reality, which, what I just said, leads into this. When I made my podcast, I called it Observant Attention. Didn't know why, just thought it rang well. Just thought it sounded good. Looking back, it is everything. Once you begin to consciously observe where you are placing your attention, you can then place your attention on exactly what you want to observe. And that is the control factor. That is the 0 point of reality, is where you are placing your attention. If you're controlled by thoughts of anxiety and depression, then that's what your reality will be. If you're controlled by what other people think of you, then you'll only see people who judge you. This goes for anything. And what I really realized on this 2-week journey, this 10-month journey, this 26-year journey, is that we have all the power of our own reality. Number 22, consciousness is within the heart. That's emotion. Your ability to manifest doesn't just lie within intention. Intention sets the intention. Or thought. Your reality doesn't just sit in your thought. Thought sets the intention, and intention elicits the emotion. The emotion is what really creates your reality. It's that consciousness field. I talked about that earlier. That bioelectricity that you exude, that consciousness, stems from your heart. Your emotions that you choose to learn and live by. Number 23. The universe loves to throw you curveballs when you're on the right path in all sorts of ways. This is to return you back to the person or the ego that you've created, that you've learned to accept up until this point. So when you try to overcome it, when you try to change, the universe is like, wait a second, this is how I view you, because this is who you've created. So if you want to overcome this, I'm going to have to put up roadblocks for you to overcome, to show me that you truly deserve to be that person, to overcome these barriers, to become the person that you've wanted to be for so long. And what happens is we allow those barriers to control us. We say, you know what? The universe, I guess it just wasn't meant to happen, and we let it beat us down. But it's in reality, we have to realize that it's our conscious effort that is the reason we are having these barriers and creating these barriers. They are tests, they are lessons. And once you are able to be aware of this and break through these barriers, they get easier and easier and easier and easier. This quote's something like this. It's, the man with an easy life, the man doing the easy things has a hard life, and the man doing the hard things has the easy life. Well, why do you think we have to do the hard things? It's because up until this point, we've learned to accept a certain standard of living. Simple as that. So if you want to change that standard of living, you're going to have to overcome a lot of beliefs, a huge belief system that you've created. And this will only create roadblocks. But they're there to prove that you are deserved of what you truly desire. Number 24, holding on to or trying to recreate moments only limits future ones because you subconsciously feel like it doesn't get any better. And if you feel like that, it won't. Letting each situation be and enjoying it for what it is the true essence of being. What's done is gone, and what's gone doesn't exist. Let it go. Sure, it's nice to have Snapchat memories and look back on our photos and have little trinkets from experiences of our past. That's great, because we need to be grateful and appreciative for what has brought us here. But if we hold on to that, that is only another factor that is limiting who you want to be and what you want to create. And if you want to hold on to that, and if you do hold on to that, at a subconscious level, you feel like it won't get any better. But if you ask the universe, show me how it gets better, and you enjoy each moment for what it is, it will continue to create that in your life. And I'm telling you these things, I'm at 24 right now. I've told you these last 24 things, not because I'm preaching to you. I mean, I am, but also because I've learned these things. I've experienced these things. I've been through these things. I've lived the other side of the coin. And it wasn't until I realized these things that things started to change. Number 25. The beautiful feeling of each moment makes the next one better. Because your emotion in the moment is manifesting future realities for yourself. You want to talk about the law of attraction? It's emotion-based. It's intention-based, but it's emotion-based. So if you're in the moment being appreciative for each thing that happens, then that is only sending out the signal to continue that trend. Because if you're holding on saying it doesn't get any better and you're like, oh, I don't want this moment to end, then the universe is going to take that as, well, it doesn't get any better for you. Why would I reward you for that? For that emotion? And that's where gratitude really makes an impact. Number 26, take time for you. Learn lessons to upgrade who you are without the need to share. When I went viral, I wanted to tell everybody around me, but nobody would really truly understand because it is my journey. This is my lessons. These are my emotions. So if I share these with people that don't share the same energy that I have going into that conversation, it is only bringing me down. And that is only making the experience less valuable. Find ways to have time for you, to enjoy those experiences within you, alone. To be proud of yourself without the need to share to people. My buddy said, you know what? I remember him saying this when I went viral. He goes, stop sharing it with people. When something good happens, let it happen, put everything down, ground yourself, and feel. Feel the emotion that experience elicits. And then be grateful that the universe brought it to you, that God brought it to you. Whatever your ideologies are. Number 27, because everything is within you and will come out exactly how and when it should. If you learn to truly trust and live one with the universe. I talk about the universe a lot. I'm talking about the universe a lot. You are your universe. You are the center of it. We get convinced that, oh, you're not the center of the universe. You are. You're the center of your universe. You have all the control of your own reality. And to align yourself and be the embodiment of that shows the universe that you are ready to receive. 28. Perfection is real. It is all around us. We've just been convinced to believe otherwise. And this comes back to perspective. I was having a video call with somebody the other day, and she goes, only perfect love is real. And I sat on that for a couple days. Only perfect love is real, and it's true. The universe wouldn't create false love, false narratives, false realities, especially surrounding love. Perfect love is real, but we get programmed to think that nothing is perfect. If you can look at life like everything is perfect, then everything will be perfect. Number 29. This is the download I received on the 13th. The only one really judging you is yourself. You will never be able to truly understand someone's full extent of emotion. Your energy simply interprets it, so your brain can decode the information to try to attempt and conceptualize the other being's perspective, which is ultimately just your own internal judgment. The same applies when transcending emotion, trauma. It's how much justification you give to a belief, how much you allow the thought to justify the emotion, or how much the emotion influences your perspective, which all ultimately come down to the fear we learn to adapt and live by. That then translates to each and every aspect of our lives to some degree, because it is understood as our identity. It gets conditioned into who we believe we are, the ego. We then convince ourselves that it's true to help us rationalize every situation based on how we see the world. But this is simply learned behavior. This fear is a learned identity, confusing who we are and separating us from them. You see, we are born from love and learn to fear because only perfect love is real. The fact that we've been convinced otherwise is the barrier we must overcome. All we need to do is trust in the fact that we've been wrong this whole time. That our thoughts and emotions that create and manifest our reality are only as validated as we allow them to be. Once this clicks, you return to the now, the moment, and that's where it all happens, baby. This is where the source of all creation begins. The mind makes real and the body follows. It cannot exist without it. The body is simply a holographic expression of the mind. So your mind has all the power to create and control your reality within reality, which means that every moment of creation is simply imprinting on itself. And the deeper you understand this, the more aware you become. And the more aware you become, the more presence you gain, because you upgrade the consciousness of what you are creating. And this continues to create whoever you want because you slowly let go of the programming that created who you were, convinced you were, or are, which opens the door for who you've been always meant to be. Because the more moments you fall in love with, the more you leave that imprint on the world. The more you deserve because you no longer desire it. You trust with every fiber of your being because you have become one with truth, the embodiment of it. Living through the immortality of the present moment, the only thing that truly exists. Guided by the universe to live through love so you can love your way through life. Allowing that true vibration to imprint and customize your version of reality, to live through and discover your metaphysical side, giving your physical form an opportunity to uncover your true capabilities, to bring magic to life, to become supernatural. Number 30, only perfect love is real. Boom. Number 31, be excited for life and life will be exciting. Be excited for life and life will be exciting. That is the essence of manifestation. Number 32, humans have the ability to tap into everything there is to know. I challenge you guys to research the Akashic records. For those of you that aren't familiar with Hinduism, research that. We have this capacity within us, this unlimited knowledge within us. We're told to only learn through degrees, universities, colleges, teachers, peers, books, videos. Do you know how much knowledge there is in meditation? There are thoughts that can come from within you that you can tap into. It's part of the human experience. It's a birthright. Number 33. And the answers to all of it come down to just be. Just be in the moment. Disconnect from all your senses, all your experiences of the past, all your judgments and expectations. Ground yourself in the moment and allow your consciousness to flourish. Simply put, just be. Number 34, all you need is water. We live in a capitalistic consumerism construct. I used to be so needy. I need this, I need the car, I need the watch, I need the money, all you need is water. In reality, the sun provides enough nutrition so you can just live off the sun gazing. If you truly wanted to. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could learn to do it as long as you had water to fuel you. And if all you need is water, if that's the fundamental source of life, then what else is there to desire? What else is there to need, right? Number 35, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Your world, your perception, what you create is all that truly matters. And we get so wrapped up in feeling like we have to prove something to our parents or our peers or our friends or it's all fairy dust. It's all imaginary. It's all perception. That judgment, that pressure we feel is limiting the actual true wants and capabilities of our lives. You don't have to do anything. Number 36. True love is connection without attachment. True love is selfless. Modern day's interpretation of love is selfish. And if it's selfish love, it's not love, it's fear. Fear of losing somebody, fear of being alone, fear of not finding somebody better. And at that point, you're attached. They talk about it all the time in movies and books. And if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it was meant to be. If you truly love something, the ability to let it go is there. And that's energetic connection without attachment. That is true love. Number 37, the easiest streets to cross are the ones without cars. The clearest waters are also the stillest. We become overstimulated. Information here, text there, notification here, I have to do this, I have to go here, Be. Just fucking be, man. Sit in a meditation, disconnect from everything and just be. That's when your true thoughts can come out of you. And if you can't just be, that shows you that overstimulation is the wrong way to live life. It's fear-driven. It's anxiety-driven. It's stress-driven. You want to be able to find out who you truly are. You need to really look introspectively and let go of all those self-deprecating feelings, emotions, thoughts that have bogged you down. Clear your mind. Release all expectation and judgment. Because the clearest waters are the stillest ones. The clearest waters are also the stillest. Number 38. The reason I said you are not responsible for someone else's opinion of you is because when we love, we also aim to fix and please. But that is only bringing your energy to the level of that person. Instead of embodying the energy you believe you should, they just see you as at theirs. This is a quote that I don't know if I came across it. I thought I created it, but I don't want to take credit for it unless if it's out there. Be the light to inspire people to find it within themselves. If you are living the embodiment of that light, if you truly love yourself to all your faults, and instead of trying to like fix somebody who just doesn't want to be fixed or just views you at a different level, then they're going to really be inspired to find it within themselves, because you can't tell somebody something. They have to find it and discover it within themselves. And that's why you are not responsible for anybody. Because the second you feel responsible for somebody, you are meeting their energy, and they will never be able to understand how to increase their own if you're meeting their energy. If you're vibrating at a higher energy and you're loving life and you're being the light, the inspiration for them to discover it within themselves, then not only are you improving yourself, but you're improving them as a byproduct. And what is that doing when you're improving the people that you're surrounding yourself with? That is forcing you to be an even better version than you originally were. And that's mutual cohesion. That's love. Number 39, stop forcing outcomes, controlling outcomes. Trust that the life waiting for you is far better than the one you had planned. If you're lost right now, from the bottom of my heart, ground yourself. Connect with the earth. Be. Be a human, but just be. Stop forcing all these things in your life that are making you unhappy. Because there is a beautiful life waiting for you. And the one you have planned is getting in the way of that. Is limiting all the opportunities that are trying to present themselves to you. Number 40. When you slow down time, time slows down. Because you are the creator. And that's when healing can truly occur. In my third season coming up here, I'm going to talk about self-healing a little bit. We rush everything. And once we sit with ourselves and be in the moment, that's when our biology begins to repair. It's true. That's the opportunity we were meant to live by. It's like when you're sleeping. Sleep is regenerative. Meditating is consciously regenerating. And the last one, embody truth so much that you become the inspiration for people to discover it within themselves. I just said that. But I wanted to end it with that too. You can't change people. Trying only tires you out, wastes your energy. By truly becoming the embodiment of that light, people notice that. And then you, as a byproduct, become the inspiration for people to discover it within themselves. Just be. Look around you right now. This world, this reality, on the news, on social media to some extent, your friends and family that are suffering with countless mental health issues, this world isn't fit for the human spirit. So if this reality isn't fit for the human spirit, what do? You change it. You change your view on it. You change where your attention is going. And you use it to your advantage. Because the attention is the most valuable thing we have. It's the human currency. I've talked about this. That's why it's called spending time and paying attention. Right? Use it wisely. So if you don't fit in this world, if the mold of the system doesn't suit you, and you know this, then it's time for a little bit of introspection. And trust in yourself, trust in the universe, trust in everything around you. Because these 41 lessons that I learned aren't just some fairy dust thing that I'm trying to make money off of. These are real, tangible things that can change a life, that can change the human spirit. I read the 4 agreements, and Don Miguel Ruiz, I think that's how you say his name. He says, we trust what we believe, and our beliefs set us up for suffering. And that's just a product of our reality, of our physical reality that we just allow ourselves to be a part of. But if there's anything that this time in life has taught me, there's a spider here. I'm not a big fan of spiders. That guy's gotta go. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I don't want you around me. Sorry, I was on a good tangent there. If there's anything that this time in life has taught me, it's that getting caught up in everything that is happening around you is limiting what is happening within you. And what is happening within you is so profound, so beautiful, so limitless. And that's why I'm here speaking to you. That's why I started my podcast. That's why I'm on my social media networks. Because I see the system and what it's done to the human spirit, and it's crushing. It's limiting our beliefs and our perspectives of the world and our potentials. When in reality, we have this unfathomable opportunity, this capability to be something beyond all rationality. But it all starts with looking within, with reevaluating our belief system, and ultimately wanting to. Also right. But the lessons I've learned from doing these things, I'm not just telling you what to do, I'm living it. That's the difference. And the lessons I've learned from these things are directly applicable to me. Yes, and these are very specific to some degree. But if you take these, apply them to your own life, you can compound this knowledge and discover what is in alignment with your own personal highest purpose. And as soon as you start doing that, you can truly live a life of love and of passion and of excitement to be you every day, because you get to do it being you. This is a huge opportunity. You have a human experience to create anything you want, to have anything you want. God, the universe, your higher self is like, here you go, man. And are we just going to sit on the couch and play video games and be sorry for ourselves and play the victim card because we're locked down? I did. And that's not the way it should be. I'll never tell somebody what to do. I'll only guide them in the right direction. If you made it this far in this hour podcast, I commend you, man. It means there's something dormant within you that is ready to just come bursting the fuck out. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how it impacts the world. Thank you so much for joining me today. And stay inspired.